The bold message. The Galactic Empire was used to conquering planets. They had wiped out civilizations, crushed rebellions, and bent entire species to their will. To them, Earth was just another insignificant world, barely worth noticing. But something had changed. Earth was no longer the weak, defenseless planet it once was, and the Empire was about to learn the hard way. It all started with a simple message, one that the Galactic Empire received one fateful day. It wasn't from a military commander or a planet leader. It came from Earth itself. The message was clear, direct, and surprising. We are ready for you. At first, the Galactic Council laughed. How could humans, a primitive species that had barely left their homeworld, threaten them? To the Empire, this message was nothing more than a joke, a taunt, a desperate attempt by an inferior species to make itself feel important. They dismissed it with a scoff, but that was the mistake that would cost them dearly. The Galactic Empire's fleet was already on its way. They had no real reason to fear Earth. After all, they had advanced technology and an army that could crush any world beneath their boots. Earth was a distant speck on their radar, and the message they received wasn't even considered worth the time to respond to. However, what they didn't know was that humans had been preparing. For decades, humanity had been quietly working on their own secret projects. They weren't the same humans who had been conquered so many years ago. No longer were they divided by nations and petty conflicts. They had united, and in their unity, they had discovered a power the Galactic Empire could not comprehend. The message sent to the Galactic Empire was not just a warning. It was a declaration of humanity's readiness, and it would be the first of many surprises. The message was broadcast across all channels. It traveled faster than the Empire's ships, slipping past their defenses, landing in the hands of leaders who would never forget it. Back on Earth, there was no celebration, no triumph, only preparation. People across the planet understood what this message meant. They knew that a battle was coming. And this time, Earth would not be caught off guard. They had learned from their mistakes. They had learned how to fight. In the quiet halls of Earth's secret military command centers, the greatest minds of humanity worked tirelessly. They were building weapons, crafting technology, and training soldiers. They were preparing not just to defend their world, but to send a message to the Galactic Empire that they would never forget. As the Galactic Empire's fleet grew closer to Earth, humanity's forces moved into position. It wasn't just a matter of stopping an invasion. It was about making sure the Empire understood one simple truth. They had made a grave mistake. The Galactic Empire didn't know it yet, but they were about to face the biggest challenge of their entire existence. Earth's people had been underestimated for too long. And now, the time had come for them to show the galaxy just what humanity was capable of. On Earth, people waited. They didn't know what would happen next, but they were ready. The world held its breath, and the countdown to the Empire's arrival began. As the Empire's ships neared, the human fleets remained hidden, waiting for the perfect moment. Everything was in place. All the training, the weapons, the strategies, nothing had been left to chance. Earth was no longer the weak planet the Empire had once ignored. Now, Earth was a force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Empire's first ships began to enter Earth's orbit. The giant warships, with their towering hulls and devastating weapons, loomed over the planet like a dark cloud. They believed their victory was already assured. After all, Earth had no chance against them. But the message humanity had sent wasn't just a warning. It was a promise. We are ready for you. And Earth was ready. The first blow would be dealt soon. The Galactic Empire had no idea that they were about to face an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. The battle for Earth was about to begin. And as the first ship of the Empire made its descent toward the planet's surface, the question echoed in the minds of every human who had heard the message. Would the Empire regret underestimating Earth? The Empire's first strike. The first ship of the Galactic Empire descended through Earth's atmosphere like a massive shadow. Its hull gleamed coldly under the distant light of the sun, its weapons charged and ready to obliterate anything that dared to challenge its power. Inside the vessel, the commanders laughed at the audacity of the humans. They were sure they had nothing to fear. It was just another backwater planet, a world easily crushed beneath the might of the Empire. But what they didn't know was that this planet had changed. The humans had evolved. They had learned to stand tall in the face of overwhelming odds, and they had never forgotten their history. As the Empire's ship settled into a secure position above the planet's surface, its sensors detected nothing unusual. There were no signs of resistance, no incoming attacks. To the Empire's commanders, it was business as usual. Earth was quiet. Too quiet, perhaps. They continued with their preparations, expecting an easy victory. What they didn't realize was that the quiet was not the calm before their victory. It was the silence before their defeat. Across the Earth, hidden away in underground bunkers and secret military bases, humanity's secret fleet was waiting. They had remained undetected, using technology far beyond what the Galactic Empire could imagine. The ships were sleek and silent, equipped with advanced cloaking technology that made them invisible to even the Empire's best sensors. Each one was armed with weaponry unlike anything the Empire had ever encountered. And now, the moment had come. Without warning, the first of Earth's hidden ships moved into position. It was quick, precise, and silent. The Empire's fleet had no time to react. The first strike was delivered with pinpoint accuracy. A powerful energy blast shot through the sky, striking the lead ship of the Empire's fleet. The blast hit its target with a force that rocked the massive warship, causing it to shudder and groan as it began to spin out of control. The Empire's commanders were shocked. They couldn't comprehend what had just happened. No one had ever attacked them like this before. They had been expecting a primitive world, easy to crush. Instead, they found themselves under fire from an enemy they could barely detect. The Empire scrambled to respond. They quickly sent out a fleet of fighter ships to retaliate, but Earth's forces were already one step ahead. As the first wave of Empire fighters descended, they were met with an overwhelming barrage of energy blasts. The Empire's pilots were caught off guard, their ships destroyed before they could even make it halfway toward Earth's defenses. Back on Earth, the people were watching the conflict unfold. For generations, they had lived in the shadow of the Empire's cruelty. But now, the tables were turning. Humanity was no longer weak and defenseless. They had united, and they had prepared for this moment. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces remained hidden, striking from the shadows. The Empire's ships were powerful, but they were no match for the tactical brilliance of humanity's newly developed technology. The hidden fleet continued to strike with devastating precision, and the Empire began to realize that this was no ordinary world they were fighting. The Galactic Empire, with its vast resources and advanced weapons, had underestimated Earth. They thought they could simply waltz in and take control. But they hadn't counted on the humans' resourcefulness, their drive to fight for their home. And now, the Empire was learning the hard way. Earth was ready. Across the stars, messages were already being sent out. The Galactic Empire was losing ground. Their once invincible warships were being torn apart by attacks they couldn't see, couldn't predict. The shockwaves of the first strikes echoed through the Empire's command centers, leaving the council members stunned. The Empire's forces were not the only ones who were shocked. Back on Earth, the people were also in disbelief, but for a different reason. They had expected a challenge, but they had not anticipated how quickly their strike would turn the tide in their favor. This was only the beginning. The first ship had fallen, but there was much more to come. As the Empire reeled from the unexpected attack, they began to understand the true meaning of the message they had received so long ago. We are ready for you. And humanity was more than ready. They had given the Galactic Empire one warning, and now they were making them pay for underestimating Earth. The battle had just begun, and the Galactic Empire would soon learn that humans were not a species to be trifled with. Their revenge had only just started, and it was more powerful than anyone could have imagined. The Empire's desperate response. The Galactic Empire's initial shock was turning into full-blown panic. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. Their once invincible fleet was taking hit after hit, and their commanders, used to overwhelming their enemies, now found themselves scrambling to salvage their crumbling forces. In the command center aboard the Empire's flagship, the atmosphere was tense. The Admiral, a seasoned officer with countless victories under his belt, was pacing furiously in front of a large holographic map. His fingers hovered over the controls, but every time he looked at the screen, it became clearer. Earth was not the weak planet they had thought it was. "Admiral, the fleet is taking significant damage," one of his officers reported, her voice shaking with disbelief. "We've lost 3 ships already, and the cloaked vessels keep attacking from the shadows. We can't track them." The Admiral slammed his fist down on the console in frustration. "I don't care about their tricks," he barked. "We need to crush them now before they do any more damage. Launch every available fighter and destroy their fleet." The order was given, and within minutes, hundreds of Empire fighter ships were deployed. They zoomed into Earth's atmosphere, their engines roaring like thunder. But it wasn't enough. The Empire's fighters, while formidable, were still no match for Earth's advanced technology. The hidden human fleet continued to strike from the shadows, each shot hitting its mark with deadly accuracy. On Earth, the hidden fleet commanders were calm, almost eerily so. They had been preparing for this day for decades, and now their moment had finally come. They had worked tirelessly to perfect their technology, and it was paying off. Each ship was equipped with cloaking devices, making them nearly invisible to the enemy sensors. Their weapons were built to penetrate even the toughest of armor, and they were more than a match for the Empire's fighters. As the Empire's ships swarmed into Earth's skies, they found themselves surrounded. Every move they made was countered by the hidden human fleet. The Empire's fighters, though fast and deadly, were flying blind. They had no way of knowing where the attacks were coming from until it was too late. One by one, the Empire's fighters were torn apart by blasts of energy so powerful they seemed to rip through space itself. The commanders, panicked and desperate, tried to regroup, but the damage was done. Humanity had once again proven that they were ready to fight, and win. The Admiral's face was pale, his mind racing. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The Empire had crushed entire civilizations in the past, their fleets unstoppable. Yet now, a single planet, one they had considered weak, was dismantling their forces with shocking precision. "We need reinforcements," he muttered to himself, already sending a distress signal to the rest of the Empire. "We can't let them win." But it was too late. The reinforcements he was calling for were still light years away, and by the time they arrived, Earth's hidden fleet would be long gone, leaving only destruction in its wake. Back on Earth, the news of the Empire's failures began to spread. People who had once cowered in fear, knowing the Empire could destroy them at any time, were now rallying behind their leaders. They saw that their warning had been heard, and they saw the strength that had been hidden away for so long. The people of Earth were ready to fight for their home. No longer would they hide in fear. The Galactic Empire, who had once destroyed their planet, was now facing the wrath of a united and powerful humanity. Meanwhile, the Empire continued to struggle. Their fleet was in disarray, with ship after ship falling to the hidden human forces. The once proud Empire was beginning to understand the true cost of their arrogance. In the vastness of space, the remaining Empire ships were preparing for another desperate attempt to regain control, but they were running out of time. The hidden fleet wasn't just fighting. They were sending a message. The humans had waited for this moment, and they would not stop until the Galactic Empire paid for its past crimes. The battle was no longer just about defense. It was about vengeance, and humanity had a long memory. The Empire's collapse. The Empire's command center was in utter chaos. Across the galaxy, Messages of defeat were flooding in, each more crushing than the last. The once unbeatable might of the Galactic Empire was now facing annihilation at the hands of a species they had never taken seriously: humanity. Admiral Zorath, a seasoned veteran with countless campaigns under his belt, stood at the helm of his flagship. His once confident posture had crumbled into an image of frustration and fear. His fleet, the pride of the Empire, was being systematically destroyed. The Empire's invincible reputation was fading with every passing moment. "Admiral, we can't hold out much longer," one of the communications officers reported, her voice trembling. "Their ships are everywhere, and our defenses can't keep up. The cloaked vessels are picking us off one by one." Zorath slammed his fist onto the table, his anger rising. How could this happen? How could they be this advanced? We've been watching them for centuries, and they've barely made any progress. How are they doing this? His officers exchanged worried glances but didn't respond. There was no answer, not one that could save them. The human fleet, though smaller, was proving to be far more efficient, far more deadly than they had ever expected. "Send a fleet to reinforce the outer systems," Zorath ordered. "We'll try to buy time. Maybe we can hold them off long enough for reinforcements to arrive from the rest of the Empire." But even as he gave the order, Zorath knew it was futile. The Empire's reinforcements were light years away. Their fleets were already stretched thin across the galaxy, and the hidden human ships were striking faster than any response could be made. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the people were beginning to see the true scale of their victory. The messages of hope and defiance sent by their fleet were spreading across the planet, sparking even more unity and determination among the human race. They had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now they were watching as the Galactic Empire began to fall apart under their own power. In the underground bunkers, where Earth's top strategists and military leaders coordinated the efforts of the hidden fleet, there was a sense of quiet triumph. The humans had known for years that their fleet was ready, but now it was proving itself on the grand stage of galactic warfare. General Rhea, the leader of Earth's armed forces, looked over the battle reports with a satisfied smile. The Empire's once feared flagship had been struck by a massive blast and was drifting in space, helpless. The outer edges of the Empire's defense systems were collapsing, and the heart of their military was left vulnerable. "Looks like they're starting to break," Rhea said calmly, turning to her team. "We have one chance to end this. We must push them to the point of no return. Once they fall back, they won't be able to regroup." Her voice was full of confidence, but there was still a sense of caution. The Empire was not defeated yet. They might be desperate, but they were still dangerous. Across the galaxy, Earth's fleet continued to press its advantage. The once mighty ships of the Empire were now taking losses they could not afford. Their strategic control was slipping away, and even their best commanders were beginning to panic. They had expected an easy victory, but now they were facing total defeat. The human fleet wasn't just fighting for survival, it was fighting for vengeance. The Galactic Empire had thought they could destroy Earth without consequences, but now humanity was showing them the cost of their arrogance. Every strike from Earth's hidden ships was a reminder of the pain and destruction the Empire had caused all those years ago. This wasn't just a battle, it was the fulfillment of humanity's promise to take back what had been stolen from them. Back in the Empire's command center, Zorath watched as his ships were cut down, one by one. The hum of the war machines, once so familiar, now filled him with dread. His empire was crumbling, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "Admiral," one of his officers said, her voice barely a whisper, "we've lost contact with the fleet on the edge of the system. It's gone." Zorath stood in silence for a moment, his mind racing. "They're retreating," he muttered. "But it's too late. The Empire is finished." As the final blows to the Empire's defenses were delivered, Zorath knew that no reinforcements would come in time. The Galactic Empire's reign had ended, and humanity had claimed its victory. The war was over, but Earth's journey had only just begun. The last stand. The battle had raged across the galaxy for days, and the Galactic Empire was now a shadow of its former self. Their ships, once the pinnacle of military might, were now floating wrecks or drifting helplessly through space. The Empire's leaders, who had once ruled with fear and power, were now scrambling to regroup, but it was too late. Humanity had struck with the fury of centuries of oppression, and the Empire was on the brink of collapse. In the heart of the Empire's central command, Admiral Zorath stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. His hand gripped the edge of the table as he stared at the red blinking lights indicating the locations of his remaining fleet. There were only a handful of ships left, and they were all spread thin, trying to defend the core systems. "We can't hold on much longer," Zorath muttered to himself, his voice hoarse from days of constant command. "The human fleet is everywhere." His second-in-command, Commander Talon, stood beside him, his face gaunt from exhaustion. "We've already sent out all remaining reinforcements, Admiral. The last of our forces are retreating to the outer systems. We can't stop them anymore." Zorath's gaze hardened, but there was a flicker of resolve in his eyes. "We need to make one final stand. If we retreat now, the Empire is gone forever. We need to regroup, hit them hard, and make them pay for their insolence." Commander Talon nodded reluctantly. "But where will we strike? They've already decimated our fleet." The Admiral's mind raced. There was only one place left, one last chance to turn the tide. The heart of the Empire, the Imperial throne world. It was heavily fortified, its defenses among the best in the galaxy, but it was also humanity's most coveted target. If they could strike there, they could not only deal a crippling blow to the humans, but potentially wipe out their remaining forces in one fell swoop. "We'll attack Earth," Zorath said with determination. "We'll gather all remaining ships, hit them with everything we've got, and show them that we are still a force to be reckoned with. We'll crush them before they can recover." The commander hesitated. "But they have already taken down our strongest fleets. Admiral, what makes you think we can succeed?" Zorath's eyes narrowed. "Because we have no other choice." Meanwhile, on Earth, General Rhea watched the reports coming in. Every communication, every battle update, confirmed the same thing. Humanity was winning. The Galactic Empire was crumbling, their forces scattered, and the remnants of their fleet were barely holding together. The hidden human warships were closing in on their final targets, methodically picking apart what was left of the once mighty Empire. But there was a sense of caution in the air. General Rhea knew the Empire wouldn't give up without one final desperate push. They would come for Earth with everything they had left, hoping to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. "We need to be ready," Rhea said, addressing her team. "The Empire is not done yet. They'll make one last attempt, and we need to stop them before they can do any real damage." On the outskirts of Earth's solar system, a fleet of human warships gathered. The ships were a patchwork of old designs and new technologies, a mix of everything humanity had built and salvaged over the years. They were scared from battle, but they were also fueled by the desire for final victory. There was no turning back now. The fight for Earth would be humanity's last stand. As the fleet prepared for battle, the tension among the crew was palpable. The people of Earth had been through so much, losing their planet, their homes, their way of life. But now, they were on the verge of taking it all back. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. This was about revenge, redemption, and the future of humanity. Across the galaxy, the Empire's final fleet was also gathering. Zorath had ordered his ships to meet at the edge of the system, where they would begin their assault on Earth. The plan was simple: strike fast, hit hard, and break the human resistance before they could regroup. It was a last-ditch effort to salvage some semblance of victory. "All ships, prepare for the assault," Zorath commanded, his voice cold and filled with determination. "This is our final chance to show the galaxy that the Empire is not dead yet. We will make humanity regret ever defying us." The remaining Imperial ships powered up their engines, their weapons primed for the battle to come. As they moved toward Earth, the officers aboard each ship knew this could be their last mission. They were fighting not just for survival, but for the very survival of the Empire. But as the human fleet closed in on their position, the inevitable showdown loomed. Humanity had been underestimated for too long, and now, the Empire would face the consequences. The battle for Earth's survival had begun, and there would be no mercy. The final clash. The battle had begun. A hum of tension filled the air as Earth's final defense fleet, a ragtag collection of human warships, prepared to face the wrath of the Galactic Empire. The space around Earth was filled with the deep thrum of engines, the flicker of weapons systems charging, and the silence of soldiers awaiting their orders. Both sides knew that this was the moment where everything would be decided. On Earth's flagship, Vanguard, General Rhea stood on the bridge, watching the vast emptiness of space before her. The view was calm, yet beneath the surface, the tension was unbearable. She could feel the weight of humanity's survival pressing down on her. The war had been long and grueling, but this final battle was different. This was it. The Empire had underestimated Earth for too long, and now the humans were ready to make them pay. "All ships in position," General reported her communications officer. Rhea nodded, her jaw tight. "Hold steady, everyone. We've fought for this moment, and we'll finish it today." The fleet moved into position, with their weapons systems online, ready to fire at the Empire's incoming forces. There was no more room for hesitation. The Empire was coming, and they were coming with everything they had left. Far out in space, the Galactic Empire's fleet arrived. Admiral Zorath stood at the helm of his flagship, the Vengeance, staring at the blue and green planet that was once humanity's home. His eyes were cold, filled with a mixture of hatred and determination. They had destroyed Earth once before. Now it was time to finish what they had started. "Initiate the attack," Zorath commanded. His voice was steady, but there was a hint of urgency. He knew that this might be their last chance to strike a decisive blow. The Imperial fleet unleashed its firepower, sending waves of energy blasts toward Earth's defenses. The blasts streaked through the vast expanse of space, their glowing energy illuminating the dark void like deadly comets. The Empire was throwing everything it had left into this assault. Zorath knew that if they failed, the Empire would be finished. But the humans were ready. The Vanguard's shields flickered but held, deflecting the barrage of firepower. The human ships retaliated, sending a series of well-aimed missiles and energy beams streaking toward the Empire's fleet. The first few Imperial ships took hits, their shields flaring and collapsing under the onslaught. "It's not enough," Zorath shouted, watching in disbelief as his ships began to fall. "Concentrate fire on their flagship. Take it down." The battle grew fiercer as the two fleets clashed. Energy beams crackled through the void, and explosions lit up the darkness like stars dying in a violent cosmic storm. The Vanguard and the Vengeance were locked in a deadly dance, their weapons trading fire in the heart of the conflict. On board Earth's flagship, General Rhea's crew worked tirelessly, keeping the ship's systems running and fighting back with everything they had. "Target the flagship," Rhea barked. "We can't let them regroup." Her orders were clear, and the human fleet responded with precision. The Empire's flagship was their target, and they knew that if they could bring it down, they would strike a blow to the heart of the Empire. The Empire's last-ditch effort was to break through and destroy Earth, but the humans weren't about to let that happen. Meanwhile, Zorath gritted his teeth as the human fleet's shots continued to rain down on his flagship. The Empire had underestimated the humans for too long. They had thought they could crush Earth easily, but now, humanity was fighting back with everything they had. "Shields down to 30%, his tactical officer called out. Zorath slammed his fist into the console. "We're not losing now." But it was clear. The battle was slipping away from the Empire. The Imperial fleet was being torn apart, one ship at a time. The once feared power of the Galactic Empire was crumbling in the face of humanity's relentless resolve. Earth's fleet had turned the tide, and now it was the Empire that was on the defensive. "We have to retreat, Admiral," Commander Talon urged. "We've lost too many ships. The humans are too strong." Zorath's eyes burned with rage. "Retreat. Not until Earth is in ruins." But it was already too late. Earth's fleet had found the Empire's weak spots, exploiting them with surgical precision. The Vanguard led the charge, sending a devastating volley of missiles straight into the Vengeance, striking the flagship's core. The ship shuddered, its systems failing as fire and explosions erupted from its hull. "Admiral," Talon shouted, "we've lost the flagship. We need to pull back now, or we'll be wiped out." Zorath, now desperate, watched as his remaining ships scattered, trying to regroup for a retreat. The humans were relentless, their pursuit unstoppable. Zorath's forces were crumbling, their fleet in disarray. On Earth's side, General Rie watched the destruction unfold through the bridge's view screen. Her breath came in short gasps, the weight of the battle still heavy in her chest. But there was no time for relief. The Empire was on the verge of collapse, and she knew that victory was almost within reach. "We've won," Ria said quietly, though she knew better than to let her guard down just yet. "But we need to finish this." Humanity had survived the Empire's onslaught, and now they were about to make history. But the final blow still had to be struck. As the Empire's remaining ships scattered in retreat, Ria gave the order to pursue. There would be no mercy for those who had tried to destroy Earth. The final battle had been won, but humanity's vengeance had only just begun. The Empire's final collapse. The smoke of battle still hung in the dark expanse of space. Across the shattered remains of the Galactic Empire's once mighty fleet, sparks of dying technology flickered, a cruel reminder of their failure. The human fleet, battered but resolute, was victorious. The Empire, which had once thought itself invincible, was now on the edge of extinction. General Ria stood at the helm of Vanguard, the flagship of humanity's fleet. Her face, normally calm and controlled, now bore the marks of the long and brutal conflict. Her eyes scanned the wreckage of the Imperial fleet, her mind still processing the enormity of the victory. Humanity had not only survived the attack, it had emerged stronger. "Admiral Zorath's flagship is gone," one of her officers reported. "The remaining Imperial ships are retreating, scattered and broken." Ria nodded but did not feel the relief she had expected. The battle was over, but the war was not yet won. She knew that the remnants of the Empire would not give up so easily. They would try to rebuild, to regroup. They had been humiliated, and that would drive them to seek revenge. The question was not whether they would return, but when. "We cannot let them escape," Ria said, her voice steely. "They must pay for what they've done." On the bridge of the Vengeance, Zorath clung to the last fragments of his command. His once proud fleet was in ruins, his ships either destroyed or fleeing in disgrace. The shattered remains of his flagship drifted in space, its once mighty form now a graveyard of Imperial soldiers. Zorath, though injured and defeated, still had one last command. "All remaining ships, fall back to the Dark Nebula," he ordered, his voice thick with defeat. "Prepare for the final stand." His officers hesitated but then followed orders, sending the scattered remnants of the Empire's fleet into the depths of the Dark Nebula, a place where they could lick their wounds and plan for the future. But Zorath knew that they were beaten. The humans had proven too strong, too determined. Their immunity to the Empire's weapons had been their undoing. Humanity had shown that it could not only survive, it could conquer. Across the void, General Ria's fleet followed the fleeing remnants of the Empire, hunting them down. Earth's forces knew there would be no mercy. The Empire had destroyed Earth once before, and now it was time for retribution. As Vanguard moved into the aftermath of the battle, Ria's mind raced. The cost had been immense, but the outcome was undeniable. The Galactic Empire was done. They had underestimated humanity, thinking that Earth would crumble under their might. But instead, Humanity had grown stronger, adapting and overcoming every challenge the Empire threw at them. "We've won," Rhea said softly, though her eyes never left the view of the shattered fleet. "But it's not over. The Empire's collapse is just the beginning." Back on Earth, the news of the victory was met with celebrations. Humanity had turned the tide, proving that even in the face of impossible odds, they could stand strong. But Rhea knew that the true cost of this war would be felt for generations to come. The Empire's power was broken, but the galaxy was a vast and dangerous place. Earth's victory would send a message to the stars that humanity could never be ignored again. As Earth's forces pursued the remnants of the Empire, the story of this battle would be told for generations. It was not just the story of a war fought and won. It was the story of humanity's rise from the ashes, its resilience in the face of destruction, and its ability to strike back with a vengeance. The Galactic Empire had underestimated the strength of humanity's will. Now they would know the true cost of their hubris. And as Earth's fleet continued to chase down the last remnants of their enemy, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never forget the day humanity took its revenge. The end of the Empire was not just a victory for Earth, it was a warning to anyone who dared to challenge humanity's might. They would never again be so easily dismissed.